Hi fellow Django developers, Hezekiah here from alwaysdjango.com, where we discuss Django topics that helps you grow, improve as a Django developer. If that sounds interesting, like, subscribe, all the good stuff. So, but before we continue, I want to apologize daily for my croaky voice. I'm having some kind of cold and nausea, so just pardon me, bear with me. You will have to continue. Today, we are discussing how to create custom commands in Django. Like always, we have an article here in alwaysdjango.com. I'll leave the link to this article in the description so that you can check it out. So as Django developers, you cannot escape from using Django inbuilt commands. Now will have a post here on Django inbuilt commands. I'll also leave a link to it on the description. So as Django developers, you cannot run away from using Django inbuilt commands to run several tasks like starting your server, creating users, making and committing migrations to the database, etc. to mention a few, right? Now, to you, at some point, you might need to create custom commands. Like, importance of creating custom commands, it makes your code modular, right? It allows you to separate important codes in your application from utility codes. It makes for collaborative development process. It reduces time wasting. Now, for me, necessarily, most Django applications that I work on, I use custom commands to delete instances in the database. Like maybe I'm working on a Django project that needs users, and when you are like testing your application, you might add users to the database and things like that. So most times I use Django commands to delete all instances in a module and make it faster. I just pass in an argument specifying the module I want to delete, and it deletes, instead of maybe going to the Django admin, going to the Django shells, writing codes and things like that. Just create a Django command. With that Django command, I pass in the module I want to delete, or maybe optional argument, which we are going to discuss here. Optional argument or compulsory arguments, pass it in, then delete them. This is just an instance of how I always use custom commands in Django. So some points to note about creating custom commands in Django. Custom Django commands are placed in Django app folder in manage stroke command folder. That's if you have an application in Django, to make a custom command for that application, and that application we place them. We'll look at this later on. We'll place them in manage stroke, and it will place them in command folder inside the manage folder and our application folder. These command files must contain a class named command. These files in the control folder, manage command folder, must have a command class which necessarily runs our application, right? This command class must inherit from Django core management.base command. The the command must override the handle method to specify what happens when the command is run, right? The name of the command is the name of the command Python file without .py. So if you create a file named print hello, which we are going to do now, print hello.py, the name of the command will be print hello, with obviously without the .py extension. These commands must not have the same name as Django inbuilt commands. To run your command, you say python manage.py, the name of your command, then optional arguments. Now, for this tutorial, I'm assuming you know how to create a Django command. If you do not, you can check the tutorial on creating a Django command. Like I already created a Django project here. I already have a Django project here. So if you don't know how to create a Django project, I'll leave a link to another article we have here on how to create Django commands. I'll leave the link to this article in the description below. So today, now we already have a project. I'm going to start off with creating a simple application. We are not basically going to use the application for anything. We are not really going to use maybe the browser or something like that. Just create the application just to create our commands, and then we'll basically be using our command line for our testing today. So python manage.py start app, let's say custom commands. Let's say this is the name of our application, right? This is the name of our application. So real quick, we go to our settings. This is not so necessary, so let's just do it for sake. So we copy this, go to the command. So just adding this to to the settings.py file. So to create our Django commands in this application we have just created, right? If you check here now, if you run python manage.py, right, this will give you a list of all the commands that are accessible, all the commands we can obviously use in this Django project, right? If you check here, this is under auth application, under content types, under Django, under sections, static files. Now if we create a command, if we create our commands in this application, this command we create inside this application will be under this application name, right? Like we have, if we have a command here, a custom command here, these commands will be under custom command application or custom command application here. So the commands will be listed here, and this will be the name of our application. So let's get into it. So we said we create, first of all, we create inside this application, we create a management folder. Inside this management folder, we'll create another folder, commands, right? Inside this command, we will now create our command Python file. So if we run this command again, now if you check under custom commands, which is the name of our application, under custom commands we will see this print hello, which is the name of this command file, which we have nothing inside it obviously. So now we're going to look at maybe how to print. You just create a command that prints hello to the console. You can do anything you want. You can maybe send emails, delete instances from the database, and make any kind of changes you want. So like we mentioned here, we say the custom commands must have a class named command. So let's create that. You say class command, right? Let's say pass here for now. Say now this command must inherit from django.core.management.base command. So let's import that. Let's say from django.core.management import base command. Then our command class will inherit from this base command, right? This will inherit from this base command. Now inside here we have the function called handle function, right? This function is the function that tells this command what to do when this command is run. When we go to this command line and write python manage.py print hello, which is the name of our application. This is our command. Now if we run this command, this hello method here tells this command what happens when this command is run. So here we accept the self as self argument, then the argument variables and keyword arguments, the args and the quags, right? You say pass here for now. Now we also have another this is a property now, help property, which is a string. Now this help property is what describes this command. If you come here and type python manage.py -hello -help, this command, this help value we pass in here will be what tells any person that used this command. Maybe we are working with other developers who want to describe this command. So let's say simply a command that prints hello to to the cmd. Let's say cmd, right? So when we run python help dash help, right, this help value we pass here will come out as description of this command, right? While this handle is the method that runs when we call this command. So let's say print hello. Let's simply print hello here. Print hello, very original, right? So python manage.py print hello. So print hello. So this is what runs when we call this command, right? So let's go back here. This is basically how to create a command. Of course, you can add in your logic here, your business logic. You can import your modules here and change this, change that, run any type of command, any type of instruction you want to run here. That's cool, right? So let's go check. This is where you see I say how to run our commands, how to create Django commands with positional argument, right? So we can maybe like the instance I gave where I create a command that deletes instances of a module, right? I usually pass in an arguments to the command that says, okay, this is the module I want to delete. Then I accept the argument here. After accepting it here, I delete to specify, to make the command identify the wrong conditional statement if the module passing model passing is this, if it's this, if it's that, if it's the user model, if it's the maybe the accounts model, this model, delete from that model. So we'll check how to add positional arguments to our command. Positional argument, like something like maybe when we run python manage.py run server, we have an option of adding in a port where our command will run here, which is obviously optional, but something like this, right? So to accept argument, to have another method here called add arguments, right? Add arguments, which accepts the self and the parser. Now in this parser will have another method here, add argument. Now inside this add argument, this is where we specify an argument we want to add, give it a name, give it a type, give it a description, right? So here we say the name, this is the name of the argument, this is the type of the argument, this is the help string, right? The help content, the help description. So we come here, if we come here, we say the name, let's say times, because I want to maybe repeat this print statement here maybe a number of times that will pass in. Again, you can do whatever you want to do. So we say here, this is the name of the argument. We'll come here, we say the type of the argument will be integer, then help, let's just say number of times to print hello, something like this. So to use this argument here, we now say maybe let's say times is equal to quags the keyword arguments dot get, because this is a dictionary, get times. So this gives you access to the argument that will pass in here, the argument that will pass in here. This gives you access to it. Obviously this will be an integer type because we specified it here. Then let's say for, let me say this and range the 0 and times, let's say let's print this, right? Let's print this, as simple as this. So we'll go python manage.py, then we'll pass, if you check, if we run this command like this, it will run, right? It says print hello error, the following arguments are required, the times. But if we go here, we'll pass in what's the type, we'll say the type is integer, right? We'll pass in 3. You can see our command runs 3 times, right? That's our print statement runs 3 times. You can do whatever you want to do. If maybe you should pass in a string, let's say we'll pass in a string. Use of argument invalued integer type this, because this is not an integer. If you want to use string, you can simply come here, use string, but in this case we don't want to use string, we simply want to use integer type, right? So the next one will be creating optional arguments. Of course, sometimes we want arguments, but we don't want them to be compulsory, right? We want them to be optional. It's not a must to pass in this argument. It's just if you want, you pass them in. If you don't want, it's cool for you not to pass them in. So let's say we'll make this command in such a way that if we pass in this times argument, this command repeats the number of times that we want. But if we don't pass it in, this command only runs maybe once, right? This command only runs once. So to use optional arguments, let's comment this out, or let's copy it first then comment out. And so we say passer dot add argument also, but this case here now we now use this dash, right? This signifies, this dash here tells Django that this will be optional. So you go here, the name of this value will be C. I will explain this later on. Let's say C, then type will be integer. Let's say help will be, maybe let's copy the same thing we have here. Let's copy the same thing we have here, help, and let's paste it here, right? So here you can see we said dash t here. I will say dash t here, right? Now this second value here, this second string here, this second dash time will be what will be used to access this optional argument here, that's times, without the dash, right? Without the dash. Here we have dash times time here, dash time here, right? Now to access this optional argument here, we use time without the dash, right? Now this dash t, not dash now, but dash t is what we use to pass in the value of the, that's right here we say dash t, right? Dash t here, this is what is used to pass in this value in the command line, which is this one we specify here, while this one will be the name that will be used to access it here, right? So to run this this function, this command right now, we say dash t, maybe we'll pass in 4 or 5 or whatever we want, but to access it here we say time here, right? So let's remove this and get rid of the error. So here now we cannot check if times, that's if we pass it times, we now say, let's run this argument here, but if we don't pass it in, else, if we don't pass it in, let's print no times passed in, then we now say maybe next line, let's still print our hello, right? So this command now, if we pass in this times argument here, it will run this here. If we don't pass it in, it will run this. So let's try it. Let's run it right now with maybe 4. You can see that it prints our argument 4 times, because obviously the argument is passed in. But if it's not passed in, you can see it says no times passed in hello. So here right now we are using this optional argument here, verifying if it is passed in, if it is passed in here. If it's not passed in, we run this command here. If it's passed in, we run this command there. You can do whatever I want to do. You can run your command anyhow, you can get your functionality, anything, your business logic, your code to do whatever you want. These are just ways you can use this argument. So now we have discussed in this simple tutorial, we have discussed creating Django commands using arguments, using compulsory arguments, using optional arguments, and how you can implement your your handle function, verify if the arguments are passed in, and what have you. So this is it, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Django developers. If you liked this tutorial, you can leave a comment below, like, subscribe. If you have any arguments, if you have any questions, leave the question for me on the comment section. I will always get back to answer your question. So thank you. Have a nice day. Peace.